And then unfortunately in 1968, one of the racers died, and lagging sales worldwide, they decided to leave all international motorsport events. And then in 1983, Honda returns to Formula One and basically dominated for 6 consecutive years, winning championships. So basically, some of the products they sell, it's not just cars, they basically manufacture internal combustion engines, largest motorcycle manufacturer in the world. They also manufacture garden equipment, marine engines, and additional watercraft. And I really find their plane that they designed, they did really sharp, the Honda Aero Engines and the Honda 420 Honda Jet.
Okay, so I want to tell you guys a little bit of a story. I want you to meet someone. This is Rhonda. We've been getting pretty serious over the past 6 years. I love her. Something just clicked. I don't know what it was, but it just clicked. Now you guys are probably like sitting here wondering, this guy, what's this have to do with core competencies? I was at a Honda dealership over the weekend. I was buying some oil filters because I kind of like to do everything myself. While I was there, I was like, hey, let me, just talk to the manager. So this young guy, Jim, comes out, and he's like, how can I help you? And I'm like, well, I'm a University of Guelph student. First thing he says, he's like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I was like, oh man, that's a slap in the face. But he was understanding, he was a really cool guy. And so I told him, I'm really interested in the company. I love this company, and I'm doing a presentation on it. And I was wondering if there's anything you could kind of help me out with, any pointers or anything. He's like, yeah, man, of course. So, all those pens, he gave me like 100 pens. He gave me this cool keychain, and he even gave me this toolkit. He's like, in case of an emergency, he's like, well, you drive a Honda, you're never going to have an emergency. But he's like, it was a nice gesture. And I got the feeling, just talking to him, that he loved working there. It wasn't just about making money. He enjoyed what he was doing. And it reminded me, my brother had bought a Lexus a few years ago, and I was at the dealership with him. And Lexus IS 350 and 250, that's their sports cars. So I asked the guy to pop the hood. There's plastic all over the place, you can't even see the engine, barely see it. And I'm like, if I was to buy this car, I'd tear the shit right out. That's what I told the guy. He's like, why would you do that? We have it in there to deaden the engine noise. That way you can't hear it when you're in the car. I'm like, this is a freaking sports car. You have to hear the noise, right? That's like music to my freaking ears. And I was so pissed off. And I was like, how can a company like Toyota not know something like this? And he's like, well, we're trying to cater to luxury brands as well. I'm like, you can't. You can't do both sports and luxury. They're like oxymorons. And so I want to talk a little bit about Musion Power. It was a company started by the son of Mr. Honda. Musion Power means unlimited power. That was his core competency. This was his son who started this company, based on what his dad did. They, too, specifically, Honda engines.
Okay, so let me just talk about the Honda Civic. When anyone is trying to buy their first car, they look at Auto Trader, and the most prolific car on the net is the Honda Civic. It costs $3,000 to $4,000 to buy. That's the car you think of when you're buying your first car. But we don't think about the other things behind this Honda Civic. Just like if you look at the 1989 Honda Civic, you want to compare it to something that's probably 100 times its value, the Lamborghini. We don't really think about it being comparable as far as speed and other facets go, but interestingly enough, with this next video that I will show you, the Honda Civic can actually beat out the Lamborghini in a race.
Buddy, I gotta tell you, my pride's a little hurt. Lamborghini got its ass kicked by Honda. That's a CRX Honda from like 1984 that just walked you. Okay, we can slow down and do it again, and I'll give $100 on the Honda. No, I'll give $1,000 on the Honda.
The boys in the place to be. I got a VIP. Many diamonds dangling. Bag full of money, we strangling. Hate me, fry me, bake me, try me. All the above, cause you can't.
$5,000 CRX just blew away a $180,000 Lamborghini on the highway at 160 miles an hour.
The above, cause you can't.
$5,000 CRX just blew away a $180,000 Lamborghini on the highway at 160 miles an hour.
So basically, they killed it. So don't buy a Lamborghini.
Okay, so we're almost done. I know we're a little bit over time, but I just want to talk about this for a second, because this is something that came as a surprise to everyone. That Civic CRX, no one expected it to be so amazing in performance. This here's a Honda engine built by a racing company down in California called Norwood Racing. If I was to ask you guys how much horsepower this engine generates, at best you might be like, okay, 200 horsepower. 4,000 horsepower. This baby, twin turbocharged 4-liter 4-cylinder engine. Nitromethane fuels this thing at a rate faster than if I was to stand here with a bucket filled with nitromethane, dump it upside down. This thing is a freaking machine. No one knows how Honda can do this. Their engineering simply second to none. Now, there's a culture that's developed because of that. I'm on a forum, I'm a part of a car club, and it's amazing, you know, these guys, you know, someone's swapping out an engine and he'll just be like, anyone want to come help out? Like 10 guys will show up because they have that same passion, which was from Mr. Honda. When he was 6 years old, he had that dream. So what have we learned? I mean, we've learned a lot about Honda. I just talked about it. So it was a dream. 6-year-old boy had this freaking dream. When he was 6 years old, he didn't let anything stand in his way. At one point, he was even selling his wife's jewelry so he could invest the money into his business. So when Honda says the power of dreams, it's not just a marketing gimmick. It's not just a slogan. It's nothing less than an accurate representation of the company's core competencies, which got them from being the laughing stock of Formula One the first year they competed, to winning 6 consecutive world championships less than 20 years later. Thank you.